Hello, everybody. It's your pilot wannabe back again. Today, we're gonna pretend that we're buying this Duke in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and flying it home to West Lafayette, Indiana. Normally, we go straight to the flight plan after the title card, but we're gonna go to the ad for the plane, and then we're gonna go more in depth on the flight plan. So, see you there. Okay, here's the advertisement for the plane. As you can see, it's a 1978 Beechcraft B60 Duke. I don't believe it's a Grand Duke like the one I'm flying in the simulator. And I'm not precisely matching the avionics. There's a couple of units here that I don't think are available in the simulator. And then there's just a Garmin 430 over here. We're going to stick with the GTN 750 and 650 because I'm enjoying them. The livery, I found a fairly good imitation of the livery on the plane. Although this plane has a some kind of a reinforcement spot here, a shiny maybe stainless steel or aluminum plate or something that I'm assuming is for when you're running the prop heat. If ice is breaking off of the props and smacking into the side of the plane, it's maybe to protect it from chipping. There doesn't seem to be one on the other side, so it's probably because the props are tending to sling it in one direction, I assume. Anyway, it's $199,900, so we could round up to $200,000. It's $200,000. I don't have $200,000 to spend on an airplane, and I don't have a pilot's license. So we're just going to pretend, within the context of Microsoft Flight Simulator, that I'm a member of the idle rich, and I've purchased this Duke just for fun, because the Duke isn't necessarily my all-time dream plane. We will get into my all-time dream plane at a later time, but the Duke in the simulator is probably it's certainly a more in-depth add-on than my actual real-life favorite plane. But anyway, it's this Duke is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I had to do a little poking around to figure out what airport it was at. But I did in fact find out what airport it was at. Now over here on SkyVector, normally I have a flight plan laid in already, but I want to make this flight a little more about the actual flight planning, or at least the way that I do the flight planning, which I'm sure it's very, very possible that I'm doing some things wrong. I'm going to try to share some of what I know about how to use SkyVector. I probably won't share all of what I know, and all of what I know, I'd be surprised if it was even 20% of what you would need to know if you were a real pilot and using flight SkyVector. But let's get started here anyway. So the departure point, the airport in Oklahoma is Let me look at my notes here. KRVS. RVS. Romeo Victor Sierra. That centered us up on the airport. And the destination is KLAF. KLAF, Purdue University. This gives you a nice straight shot. You might notice it's just long enough that there's a slight arc to it, slight bend to it because of the curvature of the Earth. And in the simulator, of course, there's no reason you couldn't just fly it straight like that. I'm not sure there's any legitimate, any legality reasons or anything that you couldn't fly it straight in real life either, other than the fact that you tend to want to have some waypoints to be following in case you're GPS goes out or something, you could still maybe have a sense of where you are. I like to try to have waypoints that are no more than 100 nautical miles apart. I feel like 100 nautical miles is the limit. I prefer them to be more like 50 nautical miles apart, but we'll get into throwing some waypoints in here in a minute. Let's first put in our speed. We're going to put in a cruise speed of 230 knots. That brought our ETE, our estimated en route time, to 2 hours and 7 minutes. We're gonna make the altitude. I'm arbitrarily gonna choose flight level 230, which is 23,000 feet. And we'll see that tacked a few minutes onto the time, which might be wind related. So we're going to look at the wind and see if there's maybe a better altitude to be flying. But before we look at the wind, um, this aeronautical chart is really busy looking. There's a lot to see. When I want to look at the wind barbs, because that's how it displays the wind with these barbs, you'll see in a second. I like to clean this up a little bit. So instead of world VFR, which is what we've been looking at here, world VFR, we're going to go to world low, which just kind of leaves the some of the air traffic uh, spaces and the airports and these lines in between are airways. But it cleans it up a little bit, makes it not so busy when we add the wind barbs. Now the wind barbs are going to display at flight level 240, 1,000 feet over our target altitude, but close enough. Um, okay, so the wind the wind is not terrible. It's mostly a crosswind. Um, for demonstration purposes, we'll pick a barb out here kind of by itself so we can talk about it. I feel it's kind of counterintuitive, but like when I was first looking at these wind barbs, I felt like this should mean that the wind is blowing out of the east towards the west because it's dragging this barb away from its little base point. But that's actually backwards. The barb is pointed into the wind, which I don't know. I imagine there's good reason for that, but it does seem counterintuitive. And then the little lines at the top of the barb indicate how much wind there is, and I have not memorized what it means, but like you can see in this demonstration one, it's got a thick little like pennant at the top. That means a lot of wind. Once these lines start filling in and turning into pennants and stuff, that's a lot of wind. I know that just a couple little lines and a little half line, maybe not a lot of wind. This might be 25 knots, 35 knots. I don't know. I'm betting it's 25 or 35 knots is what it's indicating, and it's coming from the west, so it's not a tailwind directly. It's more of a crosswind, but it's not a headwind, so that's an advantage. You can change the altitude of the wind barbs you're looking at with this slider here. So if we were to go, let's say down to just 18 or 19,000 feet, the wind is coming from the same direction. It's virtually the same. It looks to be virtually the same. So there's not really any reason to fly lower. What if we actually flew higher? What if we went up to, 27,000 feet? Again, virtually the same. Okay, great. The wind is just going to be what the wind's going to be. So we're going to stick with 23,000. No particular reason. I just like 23,000. So we're going to go with 23,000 for our altitude because it's not going to make any difference on the wind. I suppose it would make sense for us to pick our waypoints first, and then we'll look at what other kind of weather considerations there are. I'm going to go back to World VFR, and we're going to kind of see if there's any MOAs in our path. I talked about MOAs, I think, in the very first video. It's a military operation area or military operation airspace. I'm not sure which. And MOAs in real life, you're supposed to, probably contact them before flying through them to find out what's going on. But if they're easy to dodge, you might as well just go around them. And it looks like we've got MOAs over here, and we've got MOAs over here. Then we've got a big Class Bravo airspace, which is, what is this, St. Louis. So since we're doing an IFR flight, I'll probably be going through that one way or another. If I was doing a VFR, a visual only flight, I would consider just kind of going around it so I wouldn't have to deal with the airspace because a class Bravo airspace, you can't pass through it without being in contact with the airspace controller who will tell you at what altitude to fly and what direction to fly the whole time that you're in the space. And some people are intimidated by that. That's probably makes sense. Okay, there's no other MOAs, no other big airspaces to worry about. So I guess it would make sense now to look at the other weather and things here. Let's go back to the layers. All right, starting from the top, temporary flight restrictions. Click on that. See a few of them popped up some distances away. There's always temporary flight restrictions around Chicago. Oh, it's probably because the Democratic National Convention was just ending today. But anyway, no other temporary flight restrictions on our path. So we'll turn that back on. These I don't see. This is part of the 80% that I don't understand. I just know that oh, see, there's one right close to our path, but it's another area that you have to watch out for. UAS operation area, effective from surface to 120 feet above. I don't think we need to worry about that one. We're going to be significantly higher than 120 feet above ground level, unless they were meaning 12,000 feet, which we're still going to be higher than that. Now, 12,000 flight level 12, a flight calling at 12,000 foot altitude a flight level, I think would be 012, not 120. I think they really meant 120 feet above ground level. So we're not going to care about that one either. SIGMETS is a weather-related thing that we don't need to worry about because nothing popped up in our path. Outlooks, that I'm assuming is a future SIGMET. Nothing. Icing. Icing over here in this zone, but no icing in our path. I might leave the icing on. Turbulence. Oh, we're going to be flying right into some turbulence. But since I'm physically in real life sitting right here right now, and I know the weather's not terrible, I'm figuring the turbulence probably isn't too debilitating. How about instrument flight rules? No, nothing. All clear, but we're still going to do an instrument flight though. Mountain obscuration. Obviously, there's no mountains here. I haven't really messed with these crazy colored ones. I'll learn about it one day. And then you got the wind down here. So really the turbulence and the icing. Well, there's no avoiding the turbulence. We're going to be flying into the turbulence, so that's not going to affect what waypoints we pick. But I'm going to leave the icing up to make sure that we don't. I mean, the plane is equipped to fly into icing, but why would you go out of your way to fly into icing if you don't need to? So we're going to leave that up while we pick our waypoints, pick our route. All right, let's switch back to world low. It's still I think it still shows the MOAs here. Let's see. Where do we see it? Yeah, there's an MOA and there's MOA, and on world low, yeah, they're still outlined. All right. Sometimes it's disappointing. Sometimes there's routes suggested here, but apparently nobody nobody recently has flown from this Tulsa Riverside Airport to Purdue University for SkyVector to have a route to copy and have us look at. I'm betting if we picked the bigger airport in Tulsa, that there would be routes. Matter of fact, let's do that for a second just to see. KTUL. So all I got to do is come up here and put in Tango Uniform Lima, enter, and look, now there's routes. Let's see what kind of routes. Oh, just one suggested route. Doesn't look half bad. What are we hitting here? Yeah, hitting a VOR here. Hitting the VOR for St. Louis. And hitting a little waypoint right there, and well, that's an interesting hook right at the end. Um, yeah, that's probably not a half bad route, but I kind of oops. Hmm. Apparently, I got a little too click happy with the mouse there. This mouse is not terribly responsive. I've got a cheap little mouse plugged into my computer, and then I've got a rollerball mouse right next to it, uh, wireless to the Xbox, and the cheap mouse kind of blows. All right, it's not actually a half bad route, but we're not going to take it because I'm going to make my own route, and I mainly just wanted to show you that to kind of show that that the routes I make aren't that far off from what seem to be legitimate routes people are really flying. I mean, that's how I kind of learned how to make the routes is by looking at those routes. Let's see, Romeo Victor Sierra. That's where we're at. Romeo Victor Sierra. Enter. Okay. Alrighty, let's start down here. Starting Romeo Victor Sierra. We could grab this VOR right away, but I'm not going to worry about that because I don't know if I was wanting to demonstrate VOR flying, I would probably try to use that one, but that's not what we're here for right now. So if we grab this first VOR right now, which is the Springfield VOR, poof. Our first leg, 150 nautical miles. Yeah, the scale on this is pretty significant. So let's follow this radial out of the VOR here out to this point and then cut over to this. It'll probably be an actual skyway. It'll come up as an actual skyway. Think. Oh no, it didn't. Okay, that's cool in a way actually. So the first leg, 98 miles. So I just got under the 100-mile thing. And then 59 miles to that next one. And then we got to pick some more. And we're still dodging the icing over here. And we're dodging the MOAs, so that's good. And here's another VOR. A Vichy VOR. Okay. Yeah, that one gave us a Skyway, the V88 Skyway. So another 91 miles on that one. Then we'll catch this St. Louis one. Actually, you know what? Let me pick this and yeah, St. Louis VR. Let me pick this and then oh, it gave us another Skyway, but airway, but with an elbow in it, and that kind of bothers me because I don't know how to make the avionics in the plane. I can't so far. I haven't figured out how to just plug in V14 and it give me this exact skyway. So we're gonna grab our magenta line and actually pick this waypoint. Steer. Seems like that one should have been in Texas. Steer. Steer. So yeah, now the V14 is only 29.5 miles. We hit steer and then 43 miles to the St. Louis. Now, this Class Bravo airspace. Let's look at that. Like I said, we're simulating an IFR flight, so we would have automatically be put in contact with the controller for this airspace, and it would all be legit and everything. But I kind of want to know what the ceiling of the airspace is, and it looks like the ceiling is only 8,000 feet. We're going to be far, far above that, so no problem. I mean, I would say that if we were flying over 8,000 feet above this, I believe you don't necessarily need to be in contact with them, but I don't know because it says a lot of stuff around the outskirts of these about that if you're 20 or 30 miles away, that you have to be in contact with the controller and to have an ADSB in and out radio to identify yourself and all that other stuff. So I imagine even if you think you're flying over a Class Bravo, you're probably better off being in contact with them. But then also we're going to be flying at 23,000 feet, which at that altitude has to be IFR. IFR starts at 18,000. Yeah, 18,000. If you're at 18,000 or above, you have to be IFR. So we're going out to 2023. So we're going to be IFR. But it's good to know that we're well over the ceiling. See this center circle, the center blue circle around the main big international airport in St. Louis. It's showing that the Class Bravo airspace is from the surface, from the ground, up to 8,000 feet. And then this next concentric ring over here, we see it. It's from 1,700 feet above. Actually, no, I think that's 1,700 feet on your altimeter above sea level, up to 8,000 feet above sea level. And then the next ring out, 3,000 feet up to 8,000 feet, 5,000 feet up to 8,000 feet. And then finally the last one. Oh, this one's lower, 4,500 up to 8,000. What's the little divot over here? Oh, same thing, 4,500. Yeah, interesting airspace. How it goes lower on each side than the last complete ring. The whole thing kind of looks, if you could visualize it in the air, it looks like a upside down wedding cake, with tiers, where the smallest circumference tier is right down on the ground around the airport. So all of that was a long-winded way of saying that we don't even really have to worry all that much. We're gonna breeze right over the St. Louis Class Bravo there. All right, then we got 189 miles yet that we haven't chosen any waypoints, so I want to get at least one, if not two, more waypoints in there. So this one seems like a fairly obvious one with that VOR, Adder's VOR, and surprised sometimes they pick an airway when it's that close. I'm surprised it didn't pick this bent airway right here. That's 92 miles. How do we feel about 92 miles? Maybe we'll go ahead and break that up and follow this bend. Oh, the name of this waypoint is Bizarre. No, I mean it. It's actually bizarre. All right, and then 97 miles after the adders. Yeah, next time we talk all about this kind of stuff is probably when we're going to talk about how you navigate with VORs, but we're not going to do that this time. So 97 miles. I don't know. I'm going to leave it at where we could catch this one. This one might still be in the Champaign-Urbana. What if we catch Champaign VOR? Then it's 66 nautical miles. Yeah, I'm betting we'll have to begin our descent way back here somewhere. But with 66 miles to go, that'll give us a chance that if something would change with the weather, or maybe we'll shoot an approach since we're doing an IFR anyway. Maybe we'll just shoot an approach, even though the visibility is probably going to be good in Lafayette. All right, so by the time it's all said and done, it's telling us 2 hours and 16 minutes in the air, and here's a list of our waypoints. Which when we get to it, I'm not going to go through the all the crazy checklists on the Duke this time. I'm going to cut that part out. But I will pop in for a moment to show how you input the flight plan in a GTN 750 because it's entirely different than a G1000 or a 530. It's much easier. I still won't make you watch me punch all of this stuff in, but it's just so much easier in the GTN 750 because in real life it's a touchscreen. So in the simulator, you just get the mouse cursor over it and touch things. It's much easier. Anyway, I guess we should take a look. I mean, we know all about Purdue, but we'll take a look at the airport we're starting at, the Tulsa Riverside Airport. Let's look at the diagram. Let's see. I believe we're parked over here right now. It looked like they were going to give us runway, what is that, 19 right, probably? Looked like it was probably going to be 19 right. We'll see. The elevation is 637 feet. Obviously, we're going to be leaving, so we're not really worried about a pattern, but we should note it in case something goes wrong and we want to go into a pattern and come back around and land again because the Duke, the Black Square Duke, could have something go wrong with it. That's part of the fun of it. Yeah, this is 26.5, but I don't care. We'll just pick it off the menu. Actually, I'll be getting all of that stuff geared up before we leave. We're gonna walk around the plane just a little bit more, and then once I get in to fire it up, we'll skip ahead and uh, and you won't have to sit through any of this kind of stuff. But let's see, was there anything else I was wanting to look at? I never spend much time looking at this. It always pops up and bothers me, and I feel like it's in the way. But someday I'm going to have to look over all this and see what it means, see what kind of information is here, because it looks like there's a lot. Anyway, All right, back to that. And this is the plane. The plane, the plane. Okay. Let me just, I'll just go ahead and switch it back to the plane. I'll have to remember to still put a chapter break in there. Okay, so here we are at the plane. As you can see, I have the front storage compartment open. It doesn't display any luggage in there, even when you put weight in there. But oh, I did it again. I meant to zoom and tilt it. I may have to change that. So 500 pounds max. That seems like a lot. I have the chocks in place, and let's see. I thought I had the engine covers in place, but I guess not. I guess the engine covers and pitot covers and everything are off. It's probably because I moved the plane over here. It had started out next to the fuel pumps. So, yeah. Also, since we're pretending that with the avionics, the advertisement for the plane, the avionics aren't a GTN 750 and 650. So, since we're just pretending that I had those installed, we're also pretending that I re-registered the plane to be November 85 Papa Whiskey Bravo. So, I mean, if you're part of the idle rich, and you have more money than brains, you can just do whatever. All right, so we'll hop inside by hitting that button. There we go. I did finally figure out how to close the door from the inside without using the tablet. It's fairly ingenious. It's just this strap right here, this grab handle. You click on that, and it closes her up nice and tight. This little red handle that I had been screwing with before as an emergency pressure release for opening it if the plane is still pressurized. Okay, like I said, I'm going to spare you guys all of the startup and everything. Although I do want to point out these keys. When the keys are in the cup over here, the front storage is closed. But when the front storage is open, the key is hanging from the knob right here. So you click on that, front storage closes, key goes into the cup. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, I'll go ahead and pause it and get it all geared up. And for you guys, it'll be a very brief break. And for me, it's probably going to be half an hour of checklists, 35 minutes of checklists. Hard telling, but I'll pop back in when I put in lay in the flight plan into the GTN 750, and then we'll see how it goes. All right, see you in a few. Okay, I'm in the middle of all the checklists. Not even really in the middle, it's near the beginning. But I'm at the point where I was going to input the flight plan. So I wanted to show you how easy it was, and then I'll stop the recording again to enter the rest of it. But just a couple things. The plane still sounds cool. I'm going to close this window, even though it's hot in here. I've got this little red light to indicate that it's hot in the cabin. And then also over here, it's showing it's 97 degrees in the cabin. I just got, well, at least I think I just got the air conditioner turned on down here. I'm on the cabin temperature mini game page, and the air conditioner blower is running and things are happening. There might be a way to make it cool faster, but I don't know what that is. Closing some valves or opening some valves. I don't know. I wonder if I close these valves over here, if that'll make any difference. That closes these up right here. And oh no, the temperature's going up again. That's not good. That's not good. Open those back up. Open those back up. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna have to really work on the cabin temperature mini game, because I don't know what I'm doing with this complicated environmental control system. Anyway, now what's not complicated is the GTN 750. we're going to throw at least part of the flight plan in real quick. It automatically knows where we're starting from, which is convenient. I think maybe the G1000 and the 530 are supposed to do that too, and they just don't. But it's automatically we're got our starting point. We just hit the big set destination button. We just type in KLAF and hit enter, and then that'll give us just the direct route. And then you just keep hitting add waypoint for it to add the waypoints in. And I don't remember now what the waypoints are, and I'd have to switch the screen off of this to look at them. So I just wanted to demonstrate how easy it was to use this. See if we go to the map on this one, it's already showing it. And we'll get into the GTN 750 a little more too. I have the 750 and the 650 here set up the way I want them, and we'll talk about that. But all right, I'll finish getting ready to roll, and I don't know. I'll probably go ahead and go on all the way through the run up, and then we'll just do a takeoff and start the flight and start talking about the GTN 750 some, and we'll see how the timing of things works out. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, that was a long time for me. And I didn't even hit absolutely everything on the checklist. The last couple times I've flown this, I did hit everything. And yeah, if you are going to have an hour-long flight, you're going to spend more time going through the checklists before takeoff than actually in the air. So last couple things I got to do before taking off is turn the landing lights on, taxi lights off. I'm going to switch over to strobe and nav there, and just leave it on beacon there, I guess. I'm going to turn on the pitot heat after I get rolling, and then also the fuel vent heat, which I don't yet understand, but we're going up high where it's going to be cold, so I'm going to turn it on if I remember. We'll see. I already got the fuel pumps on, so we should probably get going. I already got mixture and props full forward. All right, and we're not, we're just pretending to talk to the ATC today. We're going to pretend that we got clearance. And I got the pressurization set up. Well, maybe we'll talk about that en route. I got the pressurization set up. Oh, I need to turn the climate control off. It says to turn the air conditioner off, and I'm not sure I ever really successfully got the air conditioner on, but we'll turn it off for now, since you're supposed to have it off for takeoff. See, I got trim where I want it. Yeah, everything should be good. Just going to go right around the corner and slowly roll on the power. Seems like a nice long runway here. See, the wind is slightly from the left, so I'll have to give it some right rudder to counteract that, which, even if there was no wind, I'd probably have to give a little right rudder, since both props spin the same direction on this flight. Yeah. And away she goes. Tapping the brakes. Bringing up the landing gear. Yeah, I know. Here, oh, that's going to be the weather. Oh, sadness. I screwed this up. There, I got rid of it. Okay, turning the landing lights off. Wait till we're a little higher. Need to zoom this out a little bit. Let's go ahead and back the props off to speed 2750, I think it is. So we'll just get in the neighborhood. 27. I'm going to turn to the left to get on course, since our course is the opposite direction. And we are climbing like crazy, which is okay, since we got a long way to go, but we do need to get the climb under control so we gain a little more airspeed. I'd like to be climbing around 130 knots, so we'll see what we can do. I'm going to go ahead and turn the fuel pumps off. climbing at, what, 120 knots now? Your desired track is 042, but I don't want to cross right over the top of the airport to get onto that track, so we'll just go parallel to it a little bit first. I'm trying to trim nose down to get the climb a little more under control. There we go. So what are we getting up now? 140? That's excessive. Yeah, so I wouldn't mind climbing a little more aggressively than that. Let's turn the pitot heat on. And let's slide over there. And I may have to see if there's a way to put these on a button. Fuel vent heat. I don't know if I need that. I need to really look into the fuel vent heat. Maybe it's only when you're icing, because it's down there with the icing components. You know, the rest of the controls for the anti-ice. So I wonder if it's something you only need when ice is forming, which we should be avoiding the ice on this one. All right, let's try and angle over towards our heading a little bit here. Still climbing at 140. I'm not going to worry about fine-tuning the climb until I turn the autopilot on. I want to get a little closer to the magenta before doing that. Let's move this around. Let's see, we're going to want that on 042, right? Our desired track is 042. So that ought to be right around here somewhere, right? Of it. I was moving the little, I can never remember the name of that needle. It said OBS previously, and I don't think it's OBS. I think it's CDI, like course deviation indicator. There's a lot of anagrams in aviation. No, I just noticed the engine noise is pretty high. Let me turn that down. Probably haven't been able to hear me all this time because this plane is noisy. Probably been wondering what I was talking about this entire time. Wonder if I should pause the video and go back, but it's not like I'm going to go back and land and do this takeoff over again. If it seems like you're not going to be able to hear me, I'll put in captions or something. I've never tried that before, so that'll be fun. I'll put in captions. All right, hey, let's get with the autopilot. I'm going to engage the autopilot. Oh, it's on heading mode. Never mind. Disengage the autopilot. Before I engage the autopilot, let's put it on pre-select nav mode. Now let's turn the autopilot on. Ah, much better. And just for fun, we'll bring the heading around to closer to where we're going. Okay, so we're on nav mode. We're on attitude mode. So attitude is how you control your climb or descent. I would like to be climbing just a little more aggressively, so I'm going to give this just a slight downward roll with the mouse scroll wheel. And see if we can get, yeah, it's coming down to closer to 130. As long as we get between 130 and 140, I'm not going to complain too much. I mean, we're climbing at over 1,500 feet per minute. We're already at 8,000 feet. I mean, we are cooking. Yeah, this thing's kind of a rocket. Okay, just to point out, I already have 23,000, flight level 230, pre-selected. This one doesn't have any sort of a button to make sure it engages the way the Bonanza had confusing buttons about engage and, you know, stuff like that. This one, if you have it set, you have the autopilot on, it catches it, or at least it has in my let's see how many hours of experience. 4.5 hours of experience flying this plane so far. I've got in COM 2 down here on the GTN 650, I've got Lafayette's ATIS for the weather already pre-selected, and I've got the switch. There's actually, it's weird, there's a old-fashioned toggle switch to monitor COM 2, but then also on the 750, it's a touch screen can see here where I've got the mic is on COM 1, and I'm monitoring COM 1 and COM 2. And what's weird is if I push this touchscreen button, it turns this physical toggle switch off, which I kind of doubt is legit. Now, I believe that when I turn the physical toggle switch on, it'll light up in the touchscreen. I buy that, but I'm not sure I buy hitting the touchscreen turns the physical toggle switch off. That just seems suspect for realism, which you know, anything unrealistic in this super realistic plane is going to stand out, I suppose, like a sore thumb. Is that the airport we took off from? Probably is, huh? I don't know. I'm not sure now. It's not like I was all that familiar with it to begin with. I don't think it is. I bet that's the big airport in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yes, yeah, that's the big one. The big one in Tulsa. We'll just run this out. So, the GTN 750. Let's make sure everything's stable here. Climbing at 1,500 feet per minute. Oh, we're down a little bit on the airspeed. I want to stay above 130, so I'm gonna touch the little attitude roller and give it like one notch with the mouse wheel forward. And we'll check back in a second. Oh, you know what? I should check. How's our temperature doing? On the dash, it says 72. I don't have the system on at all, so I guess if we're 72, we'll leave it alone. We're gonna have to hit some heat here pretty soon, though. Is the outside air temperature is down to what is that, 40? Yeah, getting close to 40 degrees. So I mean, it's cooling fast. Let's see. I'm gonna give the attitude thing one more notch nose down, and then we'll talk about the GTN 750 a little. Actually, let me look at the weather radar. We're probably not going to need the weather radar based on what we saw on Sky Vector's reporting of the weather. I'm going to run it out to 80 miles in front of us. I haven't been in any weather in this plane yet to see how it displays on here. There's other planes that have weather radar that I've used in the past. It's pretty cool. You can kind of dodge, you know, like if you see a bunch of yellow and with some red parts, you know, you can use this to kind of dodge the red parts. So that's pretty cool. All right, the GTN 750. Oops, I went in. I wanted to go out. All right. So, right now it's set to following the plane. The first time I ever used one of these in the simulator, I had accidentally done this where it wasn't following the plane. If you click on somewhere and drag it, now it's no longer following the plane. You know, eventually the plane will leave the screen and you'll just be looking at this area where you used to be. And I'll be damned if I could not figure out how to get it to follow my plane again, but it's really simple. You just hit the back button and poof, it's following your plane again. And a real easy way to tell that it's not following your plane is all the information in the four corners disappears. See back, and I've got the information in the four corners. So let's check our climb again. And oh, climb is perfect. 15,000 feet. Okay, in 3 more thousand feet, we're gonna hit the whole ceiling I was talking about, where you have to be on an IFR. And obviously, we're simulating an IFR. I've even chosen a simulated squawk code of 1354. Got an altitude recording. When you're on an IFR or flight following, they will give you a squawk code. So they know exactly who they're talking to, where you are, what direction you're pointed, and all that stuff. Anyway, so we've got a made-up one there. Anyway, when we hit 18,000, that's the ceiling where you have to be IFR, and at that point, the barometric pressure no longer matters. I know I talked in a previous video about that. To have an accurate idea how far above sea level you are, you have to have the local barometric pressure. Well, for everyone that's on IFR, instrument flight, above 18,000 feet, everybody switches to the standard barometric pressure, which is 2992. Matter of fact, there's no reason I can't do it now. I mean, the only reason I wouldn't do it now is if I was genuinely in contact with ATC, and for whatever reason they stopped my climb and told me to level off at, say 17,000 feet. Then I would want that to still be on the local barometric pressure they gave me. But since we're not talking to ATC, that's not going to happen. So yeah, at 18,000 feet, you would run this back down to 2992, which in European is 1013. It's millibars or whatever. We'll try and run this one back down to 2992. This one's so hard to see, all the way over here in the corner. That's probably 2992. Okay, snap back. All right. Yeah, we're going to be hitting 18,000 feet in no time anyway. How's our cabin temperature? Ooh, getting cold. All right. Never mind about the GTN 750. I gotta start playing the cabin temperature minigame, or my co-pilot here is going to get upset that it's cold. So, let's try putting it on auto heat. Let's turn the temperature up to about there. And then the mistake I was making last time I was flying while I was not recording was I didn't pull these two plungers out. These two plungers close these two valves right here, and they stop cold air from coming in. You can see the heater is fired up and starting to warm things, which is flowing out into the cabin. 60 degrees. So it says that where I've got that temperature dial now is 70 degrees is what I've got targeted at. So that's about ideal. Okay. All right, I'm getting a little better with the cabin temperature minigame, although, I got the heat handled. I just don't know how to work the air conditioner, unfortunately. All right, 19,200. We got a couple of minutes to go, less than a couple of minutes to go at our rate of climb, which let's nose down a little more again. We're back down to 130. Nose down just a little. I did give it 2 notches, which might have been 1 notch too much. Yeah, let's bring it a notch back, nose up again. Right. Yeah, this isn't the worst. I mean, it's nice when you have an autopilot setup where you can pre-select, oh, I want to climb at 1,200 feet per minute, then you just, set it and forget it, which is nice. But this isn't the worst. The worst is when you have to just try to get it manually trimmed out, and as the engine's losing power as it climbs, which these engines aren't losing power as they climb because they are turbocharged engines. I'm gonna back. Yeah, they're still good. Yeah, I watched some videos on this plane, and you're just supposed to leave. You're supposed to bring the prop back to bring the RPM down, but the mixture and the throttle, you're just supposed to leave them slammed until you get to your cruise altitude, and then you fine-tune things out. So that's what I'm doing. I mean, we'll know if it's wrong because eventually the engines will explode or something, or catch on fire, and then we'll know that that's wrong. But based on the power they're producing, I mean, we're still trucking at 1,250 feet per minute on our climb. 11, yeah, it's fluctuating between 11 and 1,250 on our climb. Pulling 130 knots. That's power. Okay, nose down a little more. 21.4. Yeah, at this point, we're gonna save talking about the GTN 750 until we get in the cruise, and I level off the, start adjusting the throttle and the RPM and the mixture, which I don't really understand yet, but I'll talk about it while I'm doing it anyway. Let's see. Oh yeah, you're supposed to leave the fuel pumps on all the way up to the top of the climb also. So when we get leveled off, the first thing I'm going to do is turn the fuel pumps off. Let's see. How's our cylinder head temperature doing? Okay, that one's in Celsius. but it's under 200 Celsius, which I believe 200 Celsius is around about the 380 mark. But this thing will tell us actual numbers on each cylinder. Let's see, this cylinder looks high on the left engine, so let's see what we got there. Ooh, 395, yeah, 395. You know what, I'm gonna pull back the manifold pressure a little bit. Because, yeah, we passed our, I'm trying to remember what they call it, the altitude at which the turbochargers can no longer keep up with the reduction in air pressure, and we passed it. So that's why the manifold pressure started to come down on its own, because it's probably 20,000 or 21,000. I'm not sure. I almost feel like it was 21,000. 21,000 is probably the man, I wish I could remember what that's called. If I ever remember what it's called or find out what it's called, I'll put it in print underneath, you know, on the bottom of the screen here while I'm talking. But I cannot remember what it's called. But it's the altitude. You know, it's basically the sweet spot altitude for the plane. And we obviously passed it because the manifold pressure started going down. All right, we're at 23,000. Like the CHT on that cylinder went all the way up to 400 degrees, which, again, I was watching a video where somebody said that the never exceed temperature is like, it's like 425 or something like that, which is, you know, pretty high. I don't know what temperature steel starts melting. Maybe we'll look that up, but yeah, it's up there. Okay, so we're at 23,000 feet. Oh, I already turned off the fuel pumps. See, I did that out of habit. I'm not used to a plane where you're supposed to leave the fuel pumps on all the way up to cruise, and I turned them off shortly after takeoff. Now I remember. Yeah, that was wrong. Boy, oh boy. Yep, full of mistakes. Anyway. All right, what do we got here? Well, let's look. I think the checklist has like a suggested manifold pressure and all of that stuff in the cruise checklist. In cruise, the cowl flaps as required. Obviously, we need them open now because things are running hot. Boost pumps off. Yep, did that prematurely. Pitot heat on if outside air temperature, OAT, if OAT is less than 4 degrees Celsius. I'm pretty sure it is. OAT is right down there by 4 degrees Celsius by the looks of it. Okay, so how are we doing on cabin temperature? 76 degrees. A little warm. Let's turn the temperature down a smidge on the dial here. Okay, a lot to do in this plane. All right, pitot heat on. Windshield heat as required. No. Propeller heat, surface de-ice. Fuel imbalance. I don't know why you'd get a fuel imbalance. Make sure both valves are still on. Yeah, both valves are still on. Let's see, lean mixture. Propellers 2500. I don't know why they give it to you in this order, too. It's sort of a backwards order. Mixture, propeller, and manifold pressure. Everything I've ever seen, it should be in the other way around. So 32 inches manifold pressure. We'll give that a whirl. Yeah, I need to look up if there's some charts for different settings you can do. So bring it down to 32. That looks pretty good. Let's give the glass a little tink. Make sure. All right. 2,500 on the RPM. Ooh. Wow, the RPM comes down so fast. I barely moved my blue handles, and it just shot right down. Looks like the right one's a little low. Bump the right one up. Oh, too much. Man, it is so sensitive. Okay, I'd say that's close enough. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the prop sync. The prop sync does exactly that. It synchronizes, somehow electronically, perfectly synchronizes the props, so they're spinning at exactly the same speed, so you don't get that wah 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 effect when there's two things that are very close to being exactly the same pitch, but they aren't the same tone and pitch. So it's supposed to get rid of the wah-wahs. I'm not sure it's really modeled in any other plane. I'm not entirely sure it's modeled in this plane, although this little this little thing's supposed to stop eventually. This little thing shows you which, that the props are out of sync. If this is sitting still, then they're in sync. But and not the band either. They're synchronized. We'll see if that stops later. All right. So mixture. How's our temperatures doing? We're down to 391. Now it says lean at peak or rich at peak. We're going to go rich at peak because I really thought the engines that are modeled in this, they're Lycoming engines. I really thought Lycoming engines really didn't want to be lean at peak. But I don't know. These guys seem to know what they're doing. But either way, we're going to run rich at peak. It said we could. So that's what we're going to do. There's a way to get this this device here to help us lean the engines. I've only just started watching stuff about how to do that. I'm about halfway through a terribly dry video. I'm not going to link it or anything because I don't want anyone to know that I'm saying this poor guy is terribly dry. But a terribly dry 28 minute long video on just this. And I made the mistake of watching it as I was trying to go to sleep, and it aided me dramatically in going to sleep. Anyway, there's a way to make this help you lean it out. But I think what we're going to do is see, it shows the EGT here, the exhaust gas temperature, and this is the CHT, the cylinder head temperature. Over here we have the turbo inlet temperature, which I'm not sure what the difference between turbo inlet temperature and EGT, exhaust gas temperature, would be, since the exhaust gas is going around into the inlet of the turbo. I really kind of feel like these are the same thing, and they're sure reading similarly. I mean, looks like it says. Well, actually, no, they're not. Like this, the right engine's saying 1,333 degrees, and the left engine 1,400 degrees. And over here on the turbo inlet temperature, we've got a 13. I don't know. That's probably 20. Oh, what are these? 25, 15, 75. Probably 1355 and 1375. So no. There's apparently some distance between the exhaust gas temperature and the turbo inlet temperature. Interesting. All right, so we've got a currently set holding on cylinder 4 on both engines because the left engine in this particular, in my particular Duke, because if you have the failures and damage and stuff on, your Duke is going to come out different than someone else's Duke, I'm assuming. My particular Duke, the left engine seems to have some higher temperatures most of the time than the right engine. And also the left engine's harder to start, strangely enough. When I made that first video, first impressions, both engines started right up. And I got kind of lucky because I've had to struggle a little bit both times, the 2 or 3 times I've flown it since then to get the left engine started. And that's even reflected in the engine hours. See how the right engine is 4.9 and the left is 4.7 because the right engine starts right up and the left engine I got to screw around with, so the right engine's getting more time on it while that's happening. Anyway, so I've got it on the hottest cylinder, what appears to be the hottest cylinder on the left engine. No, actually that's the highest exhaust gas temperature. It's just one of the hottest cylinders. Yeah, these down here are the cylinder, like a graphic showing the cylinders. This is 2 lines here, 2 lines here. Those 2 cylinders are cooler than all these cylinders with 3 lines. And then the exhaust gas is this meter. So we've got on the hottest exhaust gas. So what I'm going to try to do, and this is my first time trying to do it using this, I'm going to try to drag the fuel mixture levers back slowly and see if I can find peak specifically on that cylinder. Okay. We're rapidly raising the temperatures. We're up to 1450 on that one. Okay, I'm gonna stop pulling the right-hand engine back and just work on the left right now. 1480, 1490. It's getting hot. 1500. Oh, and going back down. Oh, it started changing on me again. It was locked in and then it started moving. It cycles through. I don't know why it does that. Or I should say, I mean, I know why it does it. I just don't know how to reliably get it to stop. Okay, 1522. I don't know how long it's going to stay there. 1530, 1540, 1550. It's so hot. It's making me nervous. And, oh, it finally started going back down. It topped out about 1580, didn't it? 1588, 1590, 1594, 1595. 1595 is the top. So we want 50 degrees less, so 1545 is what we're shooting for. Yeah, I'm enriching it to go rich and peak. Oops, overshot a little bit. I'm gonna call that good. That's close enough. Close enough. Okay, so let's get it on the hottest exhaust gas temperature on that one. Gotta cycle through all this stuff. Actually, there's a way to, I guess, to make it not cycle through. Sorry about the fast camera movements. Let's see. Yeah, we can get it to stay. I don't know why the switch is way up here, but it's to help get it to stay on the EGT. No, now it's getting hot in the cabin. It's 81 degrees. Let's put this temperature goal straight up. Trying to lean out the engines and play the cabin temperature minigame at the same time. There's a lot to do in this plane. Okay, 1442. All right, dragging the right-hand engine mixture control back. 1492. Start it out. 1590, 1500, 1530, 1550, 1560. Slowing down. 1564, 1564. Okay, going back rich again. Going back and enriching. 64. So, minus 50. 14, right? So 1514 we're looking for. Oh, overshot again. Okay, we're gonna call that good. All right, in the process of all this, it seems like the cylinder head temperatures have gotten themselves under control. 371. I'm certainly not going to be closing the cowl flaps yet, which is too bad because we probably get another knot or two of speed with the cowl flaps not dragging in the air. But I'd rather not melt the engines. All right. You know what? I'm gonna stop the recording for just a moment and see what kind of time we got going on. If it seems like it's a length that I should call it a part one, then I'll stop this and make it a part one, and then we'll start talking about the GTN 750 in part two. So stand by. Oh man, I've just been laughing. Yeah, I can really talk because I just looked at my raw footage real quick and oh, it's over an hour. So we're already over an hour. So I tell you what, we're going to go ahead and call this a part one, and we'll come right back into part two, and we'll talk about the GTN 750 and some more things about the Duke, probably more things about the flight plan, because it looks like we're about to hit our, was it our first waypoint here? I haven't been paying much attention. Yeah, we're about to hit our first waypoint. So yeah, it's a good time to stop it and call it good for part one. All right, guys, we will see you in part two. Papa Whiskey Bravo signing off for now. So long.